BTFU.
All right, we're back in the BTFU studios for This Is Your Life with Moses Mbye.
Thanks for having us, fellas.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
No, I'm pumped. Let's get the show on the road.
Good to go.
What do you got for me? What are you going to fire away? What are you going to start with?
Mate,
Don't
I'd
go
like
too
to
deep.
know, after speaking to you for a little bit downstairs, I know you're a family man first, mate, who was your biggest influence on you as a young bloke? I know my dad was my mum and dad. Most people say their mum and dad. Maybe you had someone different or...
Yeah, that's a deep start. Yeah, look, I don't know. My old man's not around. He wasn't sort of around when I was growing up, so I don't have much to do with him. Haven't had really anything to do with him in my life. But obviously, my mum was pretty influential. We was the sort of same old answer as most people where we come from. We sort of just made ends meet, and she was a she's a real hard worker and got us everything we needed. But in terms of teaching me sort of values of like being a man and work ethic and those sort of things, they're really good friends of mine, and the parents of Jake friend at the Roosters, his parents are I was really close. I'm really close with their family, and spent probably 5 out of the 7 days at their place, and they would always put a roof over our head and give us a good feed and have a good laugh. But they sort of always pushed me in the right direction, and especially around footy. Like when it came to
You would have
footy,
got up to a bit of mischief back
Nah,
in the day.
never, mate. No, never. No. Jake's always been a choir boy.
Yeah.
But as in influences, they were real big for me in terms of my career.
Who pushes who? You or does Jakey? Does Jakey push you?
Oh, I think it depends what time of the night it is, but
I was at Randy Wicks one night with me and my brother, and we were cross-eyed, and it was when Jake had some drama going. He had minders and that looking after him, and we were there, and we ended up going back to his joint, and someone rang him and said, Jake's with Nat and Garth.
Oh, perfect.
And
The bells would have gone off.
Everyone come in, what's going on?
kicked in.
Yeah,
100%.
They come in, They raided us.
Black armour cars would have come. The SWAT
He's
cars.
a good bloke, Jake. He's a good fella.
Nah, he is. He's a very good guy, and he's like everyone knows, like he's had a rap sheet as a young guy, but to where he's got to now, he's a business owner and a successful business owner and also a family man. He's a dad now.
Yeah.
And
He went through some tough times too.
Yeah,
like
he did.
Working in a cafe and shit like that.
He did. He did it to himself, but he never ran away from it or ever blamed anyone. He took all everything that got thrown at him. He put his hand up and said, "Look, I fucked up, and I got to deal with it now. And how I'm going to deal with it is going to determine where I'm going to get to." And he just took it head on. And
You've got to give him a big rap for that.
For sure.
He was staying at the Roosters. He had people around him that gave him an opportunity to say, look, you fucked up. But you've got some smart heads around him. And, mate, big credit to him to actually turning around. Because a lot of people have gone through that system and just continued to fuck up.
Yeah, the impressive thing is he never blamed anyone or pointed the finger. You know what I mean? He just chalked it up and just said that he had to take some accountability and pull himself out of the hole he put himself in. Which that's the, for me, like I'm a few years younger than him.
Yeah.
And I was sort of just starting out my career as like a junior in the junior system at Canterbury, and to see him do that the way he did it, you were like, fuck, how good's that? Like, that's impressive. Like I reckon if he just packed it up and said, oh, well, this is all just too hard, I'm going home to work for my old man and be a builder, I probably would have done the same thing.
Have you had a period in your life where you've hit a patch where, like what Jake did, you went through a low point like that, or you've been lucky enough not to?
I've been lucky enough not to, and probably, because I've seen so many people do it.
Yep.
And I've seen how so many people did it and got themselves into that hole.
Helps you steer away from it.
It's helped me go. Yeah, it's really put a light on it and go. Oh well, I guess it's easy to tell someone how to do something, but once you see what not to do, you're like, oh well, now I know not to do that. I'm going to go this way and go from there.
That's a good look. We've been mates for a couple of years now, and seeing obviously going different friends and. People can fall into that trap where you just end up getting into trouble, but you've been one person never blamed anyone or never been slack or just completely brushed them. You've always been there for your friends, but you've also learned from it.
Yeah, well,
It's admirable.
You sort of, I mean, it's one of my, they're my values. You know what I mean? It's if you got mates, you're loyal to your mates, and it's always a two-way street. You know, they support you through what you do, and you know, whether that is your success or you've had a shit week or whatever it is, they're always there for you and always, you know, send you a message, give you a call. It's a two-way street. When they have a fuck up, you got to be there for them too, and that's the whole point of having a friend. You know what I mean? What's the point of having friends if you're not going to support each other? So, look, I've seen so many of my mates, so I guess, not blow it, but, you know, put themselves in the best part of blowing it. Yep. And, you just sort of, that's the best bit is coming out the other side. Yeah. And watching them come out the other side, that's so rewarding.
Yep.
And, you know, you've ridden the wave with them, you've ridden the highs and the lows, and you go, how good's this? Like, you come out the other side and look how you're going. So
when the players that you've seen go through these times, I know for myself, like I was a bit of a journeyman. I was very similar to you, utility. My problem was as a young bloke when I was at the Roosters, I hated being known as a bloke off the bench, the interchange bloke. You know what I mean? I was still in that kid mentality that when I'm on the bench, I'm a fucking reserve. You know?
Yeah.
And I probably didn't capitalise on my opportunity as like this was when people throwing around super sub tags and stuff like that, and you're coming off the bench. I still couldn't get over the fact that I'm off the bench. I'm not good enough. But I was playing at the Roosters. I was playing in a gun side.
Yeah.
You know, Adrian Lamb, Andrew Walker, had blokes like that in front of me. I couldn't get over that being off the bench. But now, like, utility player is as important, if not more important, than a starting player because you've got to come on and make an impact. Did you ever get frustrated with where you are now, sort of coming off the bench and doing? Does anything like that frustrate you, or you sort of?
Yeah, well, going back to your point, it's a mindset thing, you know. It's how you perceive it. Like you said yourself, you thought it was like a super sub, like a bench kind of guy. It depends how you look at it. Like, and one of our mutual friends, Dean Feeney, he actually, when I was probably 18, 19 years old at the time, and I was living with Dino. He always said to me, and he gave me a really good comparison, it was Craig Wing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he always said Craig Wing built his whole career on being a versatile player.
Yep.
Like,
Mr.
Fix-It could cover all the positions. And he got opportunities to go play for his state, play for his country because of that, because he had the ability to cover a lot of roles. And, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. If you want to tie down to, one spot, then it's going to be difficult. But for me, it's been the biggest blessing because without being a 14 or, versatile Mr. Fix-It, I would have never got to play for Queensland and play for my state.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's it was a mindset thing, and I think a really good lesson from Dino was that, and it changed the way I looked at it because I was sort of in your sort of mindset, like I don't really want to be a 14. Like I want to make something. I want to make something of my own.
You got to let go. It's hard to let go.
Yeah, you in this game in this day and age, you got to leave your ego at the door. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to fall behind.
It's pretty much in everything.
Yeah, you're just not going to grow.
Life in general, leave ego.
Yeah, well,
it's funny you should say bring up Wingy because when I was at the Roosters, Wingy was coming through. He was He was.
Is Wingy that old?
Wingy, he's old. He's old.
He's better.
He's a beautiful man. Though, he still looks young.
He's on par with Reece Walsh. He's a spunk. Do you think that Reece Walsh looks like a lesbian? A good-looking lesbian?
He's a good-looking bloke, hey? Like, I've never actually...
You reckon you could lock eyes against him and just get a little bit mesmerised?
Would you stare at him day two on a bender?
Probably would, eh? He's a good-looking cat, but
is he a good bloke?
I actually don't know him, to be honest. No, not personally. I've never... his brother, Zach.
I coached that.
Yeah.
I coached that.
We actually lived together for about 6 months.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Is he good looking?
He's rough.
Mate,
he's rough.
I'm telling you now, the brother Reece got all the good looks, but Zach was a good player.
Yeah,
he was a good player. He was in the South system. He might have come to Canterbury a couple of days.
I don't know if I catch him at the Wombats or at Moore Park.
He was in the South sort of Harold Matt's system for a little bit. He's like a big, chunky 5'8", skillful grouse kicking game. He would kick 40-20s every week, but he was he sort of just never went on with it. I think he's up playing. I think he's coaching Nerang up on the Gold Coast or something like that. Yeah,
he's a good fella.
He was. He's a good fella. I haven't spoken to him for a while, but he's a champion bloke.
Are there any missed opportunities that you wish you could have taken in your career, or are you happy with the path that you took?
You know what? I don't think I've missed any opportunities, to be honest. I mean, not ones that I've, in hindsight, you probably look back and I haven't reflected on my career yet.
Yeah.
Been sort of while you're still playing, I've never really sat back and I guess smell the roses. But I think that's the way to look at it. I think there's no point looking at the past going, I should have done this, I should have done that. It's too late. Like, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Do you think, like, you're obviously a young dad you've got 3 beautiful kids. Do you think that helped you stay on the kind of straight and narrow as well, obviously early in your career?
Yeah. I guess you just discipline. Like in our jobs, you get to learn like what values it takes to get through life. But some of your mentors that you have, I think, have really they've really helped me. And seeing guys go down the wrong track, like we touched on earlier, but certainly those mentors, like those mentors that I've had throughout my career, not only for footy but just as mates, they've been the most influential people in terms of like trying to keep me on the straight and narrow and keep my head clear. But and also the kids, I mean, they take it's a huge responsibility being a parent, as you know, and you got to grow up, like simple as that.
Yeah.
It's a simple.
And I know
way to
to
put
you, like, your kids are your world. You make a lot of time for them.
Yeah, and they are. Like, it's, something that really motivates me, and you've probably heard people say this before, but but like fatherhood was such a unknown. It was such a grey area for me. I never knew what it looked like, fatherhood. Like, I didn't have my old man around to go, oh, this is what Dad did, like this is how I should do it. It was kind of like just trial and error, like, do this and, oh shit, that didn't work, like kids are screwed, like whatever it is. But it really motivated me to go, I want to get this right. I just really want to get this right, because I don't want my kids saying the same stories I get to tell. My kids are so lucky, like they've got a really good opportunity at their feet, and then eventually they're going to grow up and you're going to have to send them, on their way to make their own make their own bread and do their own thing. But my responsibility as a dad is to give them all the tools they need to build their life. You know what I mean? And you got to give them the tools, supply them the tools to go and put that together. You can't put it together for them, but you can definitely give them the tools and give them the materials to do it.
When you're a young bloke, like you come into first grade pretty young, you've had a few coaches. Which coach would stood out the most, or did something like coaches? Most of my best coaches have been good people. You know what I mean? Not so much good coaches, they've been good people. Who's been the coach that's had the best people skills or gone that extra mile for you?
Yeah, I've had some really good coaches, and I guess everyone judges your coaches on your personal success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this coach got me to play Origin, or this coach, I won a comp with this coach. But depends how you look at it. But for me, the bigger picture is developing into an adult, developing into a man. And Des Hasler for me was that guy. He was the guy who, he did give me my debut NRL jersey, but he was the guy that kind of he didn't play a father figure, but he just taught me, he just showed me the way, and he went out of his way to make things personal. It wasn't just about coaching. It wasn't just turning up on a Tuesday or a captain's run and going, this is what you got to do this weekend, blah, blah, blah. He actually, said, if you get this right, and this right, and what I mean by that is that your personal life at home, or your family life or your fatherhood, you're going to be in a better headspace to execute this part. Yeah. And showed you the whole, the whole process.
He actually stopped you going on a pre-season, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He and that was probably the first time I got to realise the care he has for his players personally. He I think my wife was pregnant with our first daughter, and my daughter was due somewhere around July. She was in July, obviously, but Des come up to me in like March, and he had obviously planned for the whole year about doing this camp, this team bonding camp, and it was up in Kingscliff. And he come to me in March and goes, oh yeah, so this week we're away here, but you're not coming. And I was like 19, going, mate, I want to come on camp, free trip. This is grouse, get around the boys. And he goes, no, you're having your daughter that week, so I don't want to risk you missing that. Like you just stay home. And I was like, that made me realise, like, he's thought, I hadn't even thought
he's given
about, I
some
haven't even
thought
thought
to you.
about having the daughter in July. He'd already thought about me missing that and what it would mean for me to miss it.
Exactly.
And that moment alone was like...
Pretty good foresight. He's probably gone through that himself.
Well,
yeah, he
that's
would
the
have, like, he's a
difference
father, but that for me, just, I was just, like, wowed by that. I thought, fuck it, like, for him to plan that on just for me personally was, like, such a caring thought.
Yeah, that's 11 years ago, you know. It's probably why he's been a coach for so long and had the success that he's had, because he's got those people skills and those life experiences that he put himself in your position, you know.
Yeah, well, he's he's a quirky cat, is he? But he like for me, I mean, all the whatever mistakes he's done through his coaching career while I was there, I can just push him aside because of that moment. That moment there just
to show something like
think,
that sticks out.
Yeah, it does.
You could ask probably 50 players and they'd all pick something to do with footy. But it's moments
I'll
like
never
that can define
that,
your career and define you as a person.
Would you think about being a coach yourself? Do you think the experiences you've had with coaches would lead you into possibly going into coaching at the end of your career?
I'd love to coach juniors. I think that's more my cup of tea. Yeah, I don't think I could. I don't think I could go through. It's such a big job now. Like, I mean, I only get to see it. I've never actually been in their shoes, but just to see the coaches, the amount of work, like the work ethic they have, and their mindsets and their personalities and just the stresses of it every day. Like, it's a big job, and it's a credit to everyone who actually does it.
Exactly.
And it's even more credit to people who even come back to it after they've gone through hell.
I was in the same vein of you. Speaking of Dean Feeney, I coached flag with Dean Feeney and that at Parramatta, and I did some of South. And for me, I was the same as you. I wanted to get into coaching, but I knew the age to get to kids to help them with all the experience that I had was at that younger age, around flag.
Before they get to first grade.
Before they become proper big heads, some people do become big heads, some don't. And for me, if I could tell them all my fuck ups, all my good points and my bad points, and try and steer them in the right way, that was what lured me into coaching the younger kids.
Yeah. I reckon it'd be rewarding too.
It's rewarding,
that age group. I'd love to see, I guess, the fruits like Campbell Graham. I coached Campbell Graham, like,
and
you
I
must
told
be so
him
proud
of
having those guys.
I'm happy for them, and for me it's rewarding to know, because a lot of kids at that age don't have an alpha male like yourself, because they didn't have an alpha male in their life, and you can see the kids that have had it or haven't had it. You know what I mean? And the ones that haven't had it they gravitate to a bloke similar to me, or someone that's a dominant male in the thing. And when you can help those kids and that see them kick a goal, that's really rewarding. So just listening to your talk, I was thinking
that's another really good attribute of assistant coaches.
Yeah.
And the things that they carry, because they're kind of there to. I mean, they're obviously there to have input on how you play and what you're going to do in a game, execute a game plan, but they're there to buffer the
they're
joint
a bit like
as well.
mum and dad, aren't they?
They're just like the older sister just comes in and says, "Listen."
It's like the soda water in the vodka shot. You know what I mean? It takes the edge off it a bit. It's and and another one of our mutual mates, the best at it was Jimmy Dimmick.
Yeah,
because Jimmy had when he worked with Des, Jimmy was like. He would just G up to the fucking hills. Like, he would bag you, and but he knew how to do it, and he would do it on a level where he just knew how to talk.
He wasn't disrespecting you, but he was putting you in your place gently, you know?
Yeah, and I guarantee you some of the success that Manly are having now would be on the back of Jimmy.
Yeah, we spoke about that. I don't know Flanagan that much, but we spoke about, prior to them getting flogged, that they've got like a bit more backbone to them, a bit more starch in them, and I'm sure that Jimmy's got a lot to do with that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, you know how Jimmy played.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, grew up playing against him all my life. Really.
He was one of the greats.
Yeah, one of the greats.
Like, he's just he has a stellar career.
Yeah,
he's definitely instilling some of that into that.
And he's a better bloke than he's a footballer.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He's one of the greats.
He's one of the greats. Best place you'll meet. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of probably a rough start to the year. And you're going into this Anzac Clash. It's a game that I think you can throw form out. Do you think you can upset Jooks?
We can. I think we won it last year, sort of on the back, similar sort of circumstances. To be honest, we look, we have been a bit rough this year, but in saying that, we haven't been blown out of the park, and certainly after the Cronulla game. The Cronulla game, we had a hiccup. Second half, we got kicked in the arse, and they put 20 or 30 on us in the second half. But from then, there's been a big shift in mentality and the attitude.
In attitude.
The last two games, when we went out and played the Dolphins, and we had a really good win against the Dolphins, and then post that we had two really close losses. And last week could have gone either way. It was a game where we put ourselves in the right spot, and the only people that are hurting us is us. We're not getting beat, from people's structures or their plays are breaking us down. We're giving away, a few too many cheap penalties or making a couple too many errors. And against the Roosters, this game's a big game. It's an emotional game. It's got a lot of history behind it. Brings out a lot of nostalgia, Anzac Day, and
it's always a great clash, isn't it?
Mate, it was one of my favourite games to play. Playing out of nearly 200 games I've played. Last year was one of the highlight games of my career. I loved, it was so good, and we got to play it at the SCG, and it had that old sort of eerie feeling about it.
They played the last stand.
Yeah, and the last post. And Anzac Day is just an eerie day, and you realise, you don't have it that bad when you think about what those guys went through. They're jumping out of trenches to fucking save their country, and we're just chucking on a jersey to go win a footy game. It's not too bad.
But you can relate to it because it's football's a brotherhood.
Definitely.
My best mates are the blokes I grew up playing football when I was 4. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I love, they're my brothers. I've been lucky enough to play first grade for a long time, and I have great friendships with them. But it's the game itself, which is, you can relate to these blokes, these soldiers, because they've done sacrifice more than us, but I think that brotherhood is similar to what we have.
It definitely has it definitely has a crossover, and I think that would be in the demographic of a soldier and what we are. It's between 18 and 30-year-old alpha males who were willing to do anything for the bloke beside them.
Exactly.
That sounds like a soldier to me. Yeah. It's on a lesser level.
Such a big sacrifice.
We're not going. We know we're not going to risk our life.
Well, we are, but we're not.
Yeah, not to the extent that they do. But we, when it's the way the game's played these days is it's that barbaric. Your blokes with claret coming all out of their head, but. It's just, there's definitely a crossover of the soldier and the player.
Do you think that's one of the things you'll miss most when you eventually do retire, is the brotherhood, the being hanging out with mates, doing stuff together all the time?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, you often, you come in after a loss or 2 or 3 losses and you're like, fuck, this sucks, this is shit. And then you're like, man, I fucking just ran around the field today. I got to pump weights in the sun with 30 of my mates. Life's pretty good, you know what I mean?
The banter, you miss the banter.
Your banter, yeah. And I think, like what you said, a lot of my friends are from footy.
Yeah.
A lot of my good mates are from footy, or they're in sport, or they're in media, like you guys. I feel like I'll still get to have some sort of connection to it.
Yeah.
I think that's important, but I think you need that. You got to wean yourself off it.
I cut myself off from it.
Yeah.
When I finished in the UK, I come out and I just started work and had no business acumen, didn't know what I just bought a business that I thought could make me good money, then I just, all the smaller details about running a business, I didn't fucking know. I was on good money. I was paying blokes cash to get them working on a set, and I was like, but I cut myself off from the footy, and
you went cold turkey.
I went cold turkey.
You can't go cold turkey.
I've been brought up, I know depression's there and anxiety and stuff like that. I just tried to get on with it and. I just end up from one fuck up to the next with the same enthusiasm, But in the end,
would you say you're an all or nothing person?
I'm an all or nothing.
He's definitely.
I'm all or
He's all in, all in,
hence
all
why
in.
along.
But I missed the mateship. The mateship was, and because I finished in the UK, and I wasn't associated with my teammates that I had in the NRL, I just come here and I had no one that had retired with me or what to.
What about now? Nat, so now you're obviously you're retired. You're going on to do business, you're doing something else now. Do you still you have a group message where you go, "Hey boys, fucking, we're going down the Fisco and Woolloomooloo, let's have a beer"? Or?
Look, I probably I keep in contact more with guys like Dean Feeney and blokes that I grew up with that outside of rugby league, like professional rugby league. But I'm pretty much, I've got a younger family now. I've got older boys and I've got younger boys. So for me, I try and steer clear of. What the damage I can do if I come over on this side of the bridge. I go missing for 3 days. I'll be looking for a new missus. So I do talk to Jimmy Dimmicks, stuff like that, guys that I grew up playing football with. But I just, I keep to myself pretty much now. I'm a family man, and
except when I rope him out.
But I'm hard to get now. I'm just.
But old
I'm
rubber
enjoying,
arm, eh? Doesn't rubbery.
Chinese when you got me. But yeah, I keep in contact with a few blokes, Fletch and stuff like that. But you know, I probably should keep in contact
more.
He would
never twist your arm, Fletch.
Nah. We'll get each other this weekend. We'll have a crack this weekend. So, mate, tell me this. Who is your pick, other than you guys, hopefully, if you make it, of the top 4 this year? Where I'm tipping Penrith to struggle to make the top 4.
This will be good.
And I'll be curious to know, I don't think Penrith have got the firepower that they had last year. I think they're struggling without their hooker. And I just think for those 2 reasons, I think they're a chance of missing the top 4. I'll be curious to know
who's your top 4.
Who you
Penrith
think.
are definitely in my top 4, and you know, like valid points that you make. They are like there's no doubt they are missing their hook, and they're probably missing their back row or 2 in kick out. But they know what winning looks like.
Yep.
And what Penrith have done is, you know, this is the things that go on behind the scenes is the guys who get to do their apprenticeship behind the guys who are actually playing, like in the squad. Like you've got a squad of 35, and only 17 or 18 get out on the field each week. But the rest of those guys, so the other 15 odd guys, you know, they're like the apprentices, like, and they've watched Penrith go to 3 grand finals.
They see winning culture
to back, and they see what winning looks like. And when you you throw someone in there who's behind under a coach like Ivan and behind a halfback like Nathan Cleary, you can't write them off from the 4. I mean, go as far as win the comp, I don't know, but for me, definitely top 4. And I reckon Manly will sneak in there.
Yeah.
I think Manly are a side who could just a bit of a dark horse.
Do you think Broncos will be in there, or do you think they could taper off?
I think going back to the point of just looking at, you know, what success looks like. I don't know if Brisbane have had a good enough feel of it over the last couple of years. I think they're probably the informed team of the competition at the moment, but I don't think they'll make the 4. They'll definitely be up there in the 8, like they'll be there or thereabouts. But I just think that, you know, come that back end, you got to get through Origin. They're going to lose Haas through Origin. Haas he does a shitload of work every week. Like, you know, he's banging out 70, 80 minutes every week, 250 odd
meters.
Walsh is
going to Milan for the fashion show.
Walsh would be in the fashion show. So we put all that workload into him. Then you got the Origin period. Haas is going to play State of Origin. Flegler's going to play State of Origin. Carrigan's going to play State of Origin. Walsh is probably going to play State of Origin.
Yeah.
There's probably 6 or 7 guys who are going to play State of Origin.
It's going to be a tough time for him, that.
I think that period, coming out the back of that period, is going to be difficult. And then they haven't had too much success over the last couple of years, and to see what it's like.
So who are your last 2 in the top 4?
I think Melbourne are going to be there. I think Melbourne know how to win. They know how to win. They know how to win ugly. Yeah, they know. And the losses they've had this year, they haven't been bad. They've done it to themselves. But they just got guys who are just fucking dangerous.
Yeah. And they've got winning culture.
Winning culture. I think it'll be Penrith. I think Manly could be up there.
Storm.
The Storm will be in there.
Who's your last one?
It's hard. It's just really hard to go past the Roosters, and I think that just goes on the history of what it's been for the last 5 years, longer now. Since 2013, they've been there or thereabouts.
So out of those 4 teams, who's got the best 1, 6, 7 and 9 combo for you?
Well,
for me, I go for Melbourne. In form.
Yeah. Well, as a combo is different to the individual. You know, for me, like, you know, if you're thinking combination is how they actually work together.
If they're all on song.
If they're all on song. If you put them all together and you get them on song, I think Penrith.
Penrith.
I think Penrith, yeah.
So you think that the Penrith hooker's better than the Melbourne hooker?
I don't think he's better than him, but I think as a combination,
as a team,
I think as an individual, Harry Grant blows the Penrith hooker out of the water.
Yeah.
But as a combination, you give him Dylan Edwards and you give him Nathan Cleary and you give him Jerome Luai. I think they're better. I think they're a better combination. Yeah.
So that being said, who's a better 5'8"? Munster or Luai?
Munster.
Yeah, because that's in question.
I think Munster's the best. I think Munster's the best 5'8" in the game.
And Cleary's the best half.
And Cleary's the best half.
And Cleary's the best halfback in the game. Not far behind him would have to be DCE.
Yeah.
I just think what he brings to a side and what he's bring for so long.
Stability.
You got to remember he's been around for like 15 odd years.
He's almost as old as
He won a
Nat.
comp in 2011. He won the
He's
comp in
close.
2011.
Furley's been around forever. Like I feel like I was a kid when he was
played
around.
over
He
300
might
games.
have played
yeah.
against me early on. He's been here that fucking long.
Yeah, well, it's a good story from Ches actually because he won comp first year of first grade. He won
Yeah.
his comp. He come down from the Sunny Coast Eagles. That was a feeder team to Manly at the time and just caught fire. Won the comp.
Talking about up that way, you're obviously from Queensland. You put on a charity golf day to raise money for kids playing footy. Tell us why.
Yeah, well, going back to our point, like what we touched on earlier about, I guess, coaching or whatnot. I just think that every kid just deserves an opportunity to play any sport. So what we did is we did a golf day, which you are part of and obviously aware of. We just raised money for the local community to have a pot of money where they can go to people who are struggling or people who can't afford to pay their rego fees. Because rego's expensive now. If you rock up with 3 kids to sign on day, it's $160, $200 a head.
Wow.
So if you got 3 kids, it's $600 for every day battler. It's a fair chunk, and then you got to throw in the boots and the headgear and the mouth guards.
Yeah.
So we just raised a pot of money. It was really successful actually. We got about 30 grand, and it sits there for the families who
need it.
They need it, yeah. Like because kids, what happens is they don't put them into sport, and what do they end up doing? They end up fucking spray painting buses on and they end up on the street. They end up playing up as you do because you got nowhere to go on a Tuesday or Thursday afternoon or a Saturday morning to play footy. You end up bored, and everyone's seen every kid do that.
Yeah.
So the goal behind it was to avoid that. Instead of the kids, all the kids that are playing up on the street are all fucking good footy players. So you'd rather them down playing footy. So it's just to provide an opportunity for just for some in my local community, some of the youth there to get a head start and play
good.
footy. Yeah.
And if you could say anything to young little Moses.
19-year-old Moses. He's sitting next to you now.
To be honest, there's I wouldn't change anything. Hey, like I honestly wouldn't. I think every minor fuck up I've had or all the good times I've had, it's all part of the story. It's all part of the building. Yeah, it's all part of it. And I think if I took something out, I'll be missing something now. So I'm really happy I've got to experience the things that I've got to experience, and to be honest, there's some guys, some mentors who have been a part of it, who are the reason why I can look at it like that. Like guys like Rennie Matua and guys who have hit rock bottom. You know what I mean? And they'll tell you have to hit rock bottom to feel, to know what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
So that instead of me hitting rock bottom, they've just explained to me what it feels like. So
You've got to watch it. You've been so close enough where you've actually half got to feel.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we lived together for 2-3 years there, and got to see the worst side of it, which was unreal. Like, as stupid as it sounds, it was a great
good life
experience.
lesson.
Yeah,
it was a blessing for you, really.
100%. Yeah, without a doubt.
sure.
You got to avoid it, didn't you? So.
Fuck,
Yeah,
I've
it was
given
just
so
got
many
to-
blokes blessings that have been friends with me.
I might give one later
Just
down the track. I don't know. Yeah, just-
Fuck.
we'll see how we go. But no, it's been a really good journey, and the most exciting thing is it's still going. I still get to add a few blocks to it. And
Would you contemplate going to the Super League?
I mean,
Ever
you never
given it
say
any
never
thought?
to any opportunity. I haven't given it any thought because I'm sort of in a position where I've got a young family here and they're all in school and whatnot. But I still love playing footy. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really enjoying playing still. And if I don't get an opportunity to continue on playing here, then I would consider it. But my priority is to be in Sydney and play.
Well, if you could pick any club, what would it be to play at? I'd like a perfect world.
Oh, the Red V, mate. It's a part of me.
You'd
Good
stay there.
answer. Good answer.
Now, look, I'd love to stay at the Dragons because they gave me a really good opportunity. I was I was at the Tigers and I was just sort of going stale. I was on big money, and it's easy to go stale when you're
Coast,
sitting there on
just
big
to
money.
coast.
Yeah, you coast along, you get in your comfort zone, and a couple of things that really good lesson I got from Hook was he just told me that straight away. He just said, "You're in your comfort zone. You're fucking wasting your time." Like he said, he just literally said, "You're wasting your time. You're in your comfort zone." if you want to play, like he wanted to play me in Reggie's if I was going to do that. He said if you want to play, then you got to get uncomfortable. You got to be vulnerable and show your teammates that you can do that.
So what'd you do different? What'd you change?
It was purely just a mindset thing, to be honest. It was literally saying what you were thinking about, and it was just going to do the extra mile. Like, it's easy to coast, and I did that for 2 or 3 years at the Tigers, especially towards the back end of it. And it was just when it feels uncomfortable, you're in the right place. That was the.
That's good
It's
advice,
not meant to feel. It's not meant to feel good when you're competing at this level. This level has to be uncomfortable. It's so competitive. You should never feel like today was easy. It's just not the way it should feel. So that was the best thing. Hook told me. He goes, like, you're in your comfort zone, and to get out of that comfort zone was to understand that it's every day should feel challenging. You shouldn't go home and go, oh, today was easy. It was sweet. It should be like, fuck that. That part
that was
tough, and that makes you grow. Next time that little tough bit isn't as tough. So you got to make something a little bit tougher and tougher and tougher. And before you know it,
and get.
Do you think 100%. When you're on the bigger money that you can be complacent and just be happy to be getting the good paycheck, and then you forget the great feelings of being in a winning team, but having a genuine shot at winning something special? Because of, like, for myself, I got close to a grand final here, the Roosters. Then the allure, apart from not having a club to go to here, to go to the UK and possibly win a Challenge Cup or a competition like that, to go over there and to see that, and just to miss out on that again for me over there. Me thinking of you, if you don't get to win another comp here or anything like that, if you go to the right club over there, you could easily, feel the what it feels like to win a Challenge Cup. That feeling over there. Is it something that you're chasing a title of some kind, like a grand final? Is that your goal now, or what is your goal?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to win a premiership, and I feel like for me, my biggest achievement is playing for my state. Playing for Queensland was my biggest achievement, and I think to win a comp, I don't know what it feels like, but I just really want to know what that feels like. I think that, you know what I mean? I just want to know.
That high land, isn't it?
I wished I used to, everyone, you dream about having that moment with your mates, and then what I see when I look at my Roosters mates who won a comp and that, and I played with them all the way up and that, and the next year they won it. I look at them all and they're all together, and I think to myself, as close as I am to them, that bond that you would have winning a grand final would be on par to being a soldier. For that love that you have for that teammate.
Even the week leading up to a grand final was special. The whole week, I couldn't imagine the week after winning one. Fuck, it'd be, you know what I mean? Like the week leading up to it, like
all the 4 days after
2014, grand final. I was 9 games into my career. I was a kid. And, we're doing like grand final brekkie, footy shows. It's like, promos, jersey signings. Like, you're the only 2 teams left in the comp, and the whole east coast of Australia is there to watch you. So you're like, to experience that at such a young age, but then to play in it was another level. But then to go on if you went on and won it, like you'd experience the whole hype and that high of winning it, and then the next 4 days, and it'll just get better and better and better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be And then there's something that you have for the rest of your life.
Probably a crash after it too, because
I'd definitely.
Well, I've spoken to Friendy about I've spoken to Friendy about, like, he's won 3 comps.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, you over it yet? Like,
it could be over. Throw us a ring.
It could be over. I partied every Monday like I won the comp anyway.
I don't mind a Mad Monday myself. So.
Who would be your top 3 picks for a Mad Monday?
Randy Matua, hands down, number 1. He'd be the captain, coach.
Yeah.
Friendy would definitely be in there. Yeah. Friendy he'd be vice captain.
Then you throw a curveball. You throw one of your mates you grew up with. You get one of those.
Yeah,
mates
I've got a mate.
Loose
I've got a good mate. We call him V-Man. We call him V-Man, and he would
in there.
Mate, he'd be fucking giving the coach tips.
Yeah,
he'd be that bloke. He'd be the bloke giving the coach tips behind the bench. But I mean, if you had a weekend with those 3, fuck, you're gonna be sore for a while.
That was awesome.
It'd be right up your alley.
Yeah, fucking. That was good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me, boys. It's really
pleasure.
good to see what you guys are doing, and it's good to see people chase their dreams and set standards that you guys believe in. So
you've been definitely setting a high standard, mate. That thing that you're doing with those kids playing in Queensland, it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it, boys.
All right, mate.